Welcome to Mental Health Mondays, where we are going to make mental health matter by having open conversations about mental health with mental health professionals, those that live with or experience a mental health challenge, or somebody who is an advocate for mental health. So, this is episode number 1. And today I have my good friend that I'm going to bring on, Phillip Aronoff. And we're just going to have an open conversation about mental health in general. And he can give you what he wants or doesn't want. So, welcome, Phillip. Thank you so much for joining the show today for episode number 1.
Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
I am awesome. Had several meetings this morning. So, hey, I'm here. Yes.
That's right. It's already 11 o'clock there.
Yes. I know. It's probably so weird being in California now.
Yeah. How's the weather?
It's gotten cold actually. A lot colder. It started getting gusty yesterday and now it's getting cold, which I'm sure you're like, yay, I don't have to deal with winter.
Well, it's only going to be 70 degrees here today, so it's actually been a lot cooler. We had weather almost in the 80s over Thanksgiving, but yeah, it's been in the 60s and 70s the last probably 4 or 5 days, so
nice. It actually has been here too. So interesting. It went from like warm and now of course it's Colorado. Just wait a couple minutes and the weather will change. So
that's what I told my younger daughter yesterday. She was complaining because it was cold.
Right. You're like, it is December now, so there's that.
It is that time of year. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a little strange here, getting used to December and it being in the 60s, 70s. Sunshine, but it's good. It's great for me because I run every day, so the weather is perfect for running and getting out and doing. So yeah, it works out great.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, I know we were just talking about this, but you've lost so much weight and you look amazing. So congratulations on losing weight also.
Yeah, it's the exercise and the running is great for the mental health.
Yes, definitely. I have not been running, but I do Kinergy in the morning. I'm starting again, so that's good.
Yeah. No, it's I moved back. I've been here now almost 6 months, which is just really hard to believe, but I've been here almost 6 months. And because I fit, the only criteria I think I don't fit in what your introduction was is I'm not a mental health professional. I struggle with my own mental health issues, and I'm a definite advocate for mental health, and would like to see so many changes for it. But when I first moved here, I was taking some minor medication for my anxiety and my depression. Probably within the first 3 weeks of being here, maybe a month. I haven't had to take it in the last 4 months, and I really. I think that has more to do with me getting out and exercising every day. I wasn't obviously, when I first moved here, I wasn't running like I am now, but I was walking every day. Now I do intermittent running, walking. I do 3 minutes of running, 2 minutes of walking, and I do about 5.5 to 6 miles every day.
Wow.
Of that. And I'm actually running my first 5K on Christmas Day.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and that'll definitely put me out of my comfort zone because it's something I'm going to go do by myself. It's in Long Beach. It starts at like 7:30 in the morning. So I don't know how cold it will be, but it'll be a little cool. So yeah, I'll be getting definitely because it'd be something I'll be doing. I won't have anybody really doing it with me as far as I know. I mean, there'll be other people obviously, but nobody I know.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to it. It's just I've decided it's all about how can I challenge myself every day. And so even when I go out and run every day now, it's how can I continue to challenge myself on a daily basis? So it's, can I do it faster? That kind of stuff. So
yeah. Definitely. We'll tell the viewers a little bit about your story and your background. I know that you talked about exercise and how great it has been for your mental health overall, but tell them a little bit about your backstory, as little or as much as you want to.
So I'm originally from Southern California. This is where I was born and raised. I lived in Colorado for 24 years. I moved to Colorado in 1997 and just recently left Colorado in June of 2021. You and I met a few years ago now through some mutual friends in Colorado. You were working with your nonprofit, BCC Evolution, and at that time, I was struggling with my mental health, not struggling, but I was dealing with my mental health issues. I consider myself extremely fortunate because I have family and people that support me in getting whatever I need, whatever help I need, whatever there was. And so I was able to deal with it very, very well. But, I knew that there was a problem out there, and there still is problems. Mental health is not something that people feel comfortable in discussing. So I'm an entrepreneur. I run my own accounting business that I run now here in California. I was running it in Colorado. It's just something I struggle with. And prior to meeting you, I was doing some volunteer work with another nonprofit that was dealing with suicide, teen suicide, young adults. And I had no idea what a problem it was, what a huge problem it is, not just in Colorado, but across the country. And it really opened my eyes to how fortunate I was that I felt like I could, I had people I could talk to and things that I could go do. And in fact, I did. I know you do NLP coaching. Mm-hmm. I was lucky enough to meet someone that you introduced me to, and work with one of her NLP coaches, Mandy, who I still text with every once in a while. I'm going to try and see her when I come to Colorado in February. Mm-hmm. And that was obviously another huge thing. Mandy kind of helped me make that decision to actually move back to California and do some of the things that I'm doing now. But, for me, my mental health was something I'm very open about talking about. Obviously, I'm sitting here on a YouTube show talking about it to people that I don't know. But but unfortunately, we just have people out there that aren't comfortable or are afraid. I wouldn't say they're not comfortable. I think they're afraid to talk about it because they're afraid to be judged. They're afraid about how people will look at them and treat them. And in reality, I think 98% of the country deals with mental health, even if it's a little bit. Everybody deals with it. Some worse than others. Mine is not super severe, but it can be. It was for me very debilitating for a time where there were times 3 or 4 years ago, I went weeks without leaving my house because I just couldn't function. I wasn't able to function. I was dealing with my anxiety really, really bad and wasn't able to function. And fortunately now, doing what I'm doing, the exercising and all of that, makes it so much easier for me to be able to get out and do what I need to do.
Yeah, and I know that you've also been doing your own show that you're bringing on guests. So you're like putting yourself out there even more than I've ever seen you do before. So I think that's amazing that you're really starting to put yourself out there in other ways also.
Yeah, I want people to know that, yes, I struggle with certain things, but that doesn't mean it has to control your life. I also want I want to be an example that you can talk about it. And if somebody's going to judge me for that, then what I've realized is that's their problem. It's not my problem. It's their problem. And I want to be a voice for mental health, and I want people to understand. Like we say, we've said this in private. We say it all the time. It is okay to not be okay. It's okay to not feel great and deal with that. And so I feel like if I can get out there and I can talk about it in a public forum, if I can bring people on that can talk about how they can help people, then I'm doing a great service. And I've always been a person, and I think this drives like my kids really crazy. I don't care what people think. I just, obviously, I mean, I care, and I say that kind of flippantly, but I'm not being flippant. I'm very honest and very genuine, and but I am not going to shy away from it just because someone doesn't like what I have to say. It's just, if we don't get out there and we don't talk about it and we don't do something, we're never going to change it. It's never going to change. It's never going to get better. I've had this conversation with you and 20 other people. The only way mental health changes, and the only way that we make it okay to talk about and normal, is if we keep talking about it, and we scream from the highest mountains that it has to change. Mm-hmm. It has to change. It has to change how society looks at it. It has to change how our government looks at it. It just has to change. And we have to make care more accessible for people. I was lucky. I was extremely lucky. I had two great doctors while I was in Colorado, who were willing to do whatever it took to help me deal with it and do whatever I needed to do. And, but I went and sought help. I went and looked for it. Not everybody's comfortable doing that. And that's what I want to change. I want to make people comfortable to talk about it and comfortable to go get help.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, the biggest thing that I'm trying to change is the conversation, right? Like having the awareness, having the conversation, and then getting educated about mental health in general. And I think that, like you said, we don't have enough conversations. And I know that, and we've obviously talked about this, but like with my sister, she completed suicide, and I didn't understand what she was going through because I wasn't even willing to have that conversation with her. One, because she had attempted multiple times, but also because I just didn't understand and I didn't know how to respond. I didn't have any idea even how to talk about it. And so now, over the past 4 years of doing this work, it's really opened up my eyes to, oh man, like we need to have these conversations. They're so freaking uncomfortable, but it's so important. And maybe you don't have all the answers, and maybe you don't have the right verbiage to say to somebody, but at least ask the question and allow them to either open up to you or not. And obviously, like, don't force them to have the conversation either. So yeah, just, I mean, conversation in general about mental health, about your mental wellness, whatever that means to you, is so important. And that's why, I mean, you had me on your Instagram show the very first time, and I was like, that was one of the first real conversations that I've had openly about mental health in general. And now I understand that it's so important. So yes, I love that you said that, having that conversation. You talked about how NLP has helped you to open up this space that you were potentially struggling a little bit, right? But now, how do you get to this place that you figured out exactly what you needed to do, where you needed to go? And now, I mean, look at you, you're exercising, you have a show, you're doing all these things, and that's just amazing. And I'm so glad that it has helped, especially with your anxiety. So
yeah, no, it's been great. And the interesting thing that I can tell people about me is, for years and years and years, I mean, God, years. And if I had all the money that I spent on trying to lose weight and get healthy, I would be able to live in a very, very, very nice house here in California. So the interesting thing is that when I left Colorado, and I took 4 or 5 days to drive from Colorado to California by myself, just me and my dog. And it was a great experience because it gave me an opportunity to think and an opportunity to realize that I knew coming here, I had to make changes in my life. I moved here because my parents were getting older and they needed my help. And if I wasn't physically able to take care of myself, how was I going to be able to help take care of them? And it was one thing that my oldest daughter, in her infinite wisdom, pointed out and said, Dad, I'm not worried about you. What I'm worried about is if you don't take care of yourself, how will you be able to take care of them? And I really did take that to heart. And so I knew when I got here, I needed to make changes. The only money that I have spent in doing this whole process is buying good pairs of running shoes.
Nice.
And I mean, they're $150 a pair. They're not cheap, but in order to do this, I needed to take care of my feet so that I could go and I could do it. And so I didn't have to spend any money. So I didn't start right when I got here, but the 50 some odd pounds that I've lost have come off in the almost 6 months that I've been here. But I think by the time I get to the end of December and the end of this year, I will have lost 60 pounds. And so, you know, I will have more that I want to lose. That's just a personal thing for me. But I'm here to say, you don't need any fancy diets. You don't need, maybe a nutritionist to help you find the right foods for you, because everybody's different. You know, I play with the foods that I eat and tweak things and do different things and see what happens. Because there's lots of things out there to spend lots of money and all of that. So I'm here to say that it can be done. And you know, again, it's a mental thing. You know, how about I wanted to get healthy. I never, ever thought in my life, ever, that I would be able to run 5 miles. Ever. I've never been able to run 5 miles. I've never been able to run a mile. Forget 5 miles. And it was wonderful because my kids were here over Thanksgiving, and my older daughter, who works out and does a lot of different stuff, her and I were able to go out every day that she was here and run together. Now she's 27. She's in far better shape than I am. But we were able to do it every day together. I never thought I'd be able to do that. So
That's amazing. No, and I mean, the whole being able to take care of yourself before you take care of others is so important. And when you think about weight in general, it's a mental game, right? Like, I mean, if your mind is not mentally there, then you're never going to lose weight, no matter how many diets, how many nutritionists, how many whatever you do, you're probably going to gain that weight back because you're not mentally there and you're not ready, right? And so yeah, I think about I've done a couple trainings with John Assaraf, and he talks about how your brain is so powerful. Like, you can literally lose weight by telling your brain that you want to lose weight, right? Like envisioning, he talks about stepping on the scale and envisioning the number that you want it to be. And you can train your brain to actually make that happen without doing anything. And I just think that's amazing. One, how powerful the brain is, but two, how important it is to get your mental wellness in alignment with your goals, right? Like, once you're aligned, you're literally unstoppable and or going to lose that weight. So yeah, getting your brain aligned with your goals is really important too.
Yeah. And you know, and it's a constant learning process for me right now, because I've stepped into something that, you know, my parents were always able to do whatever they needed for themselves. Always, you know, never. So I've stepped into a situation that is different. I'm not going to say it's always easy, because it's not. But what I have realized in the time, and I realized this is an everyday process. This is every day you realize things. But I realized, and I realized this yesterday, I need to take a day for myself.
Yeah.
I need to, I love my parents, and I want to be here for them. But in order for me to do the best job for them, I have to take a day for myself. where I'm not, they built a wonderful little guest house for me, which is where I'm sitting right now doing this. And I have to say, I have to give myself permission. It is okay if I want to sit in here on a Sunday and relax and not be in there, not work, right? Because running your own business, as you know, being an entrepreneur, it is a 7-day a week, sometimes 24 hours a day type thing. But in order to do it well, you have to step away for a day. So I've made a decision now that Sundays will be that day that I step away for the day. I won't work. Yes, because my house is right in their backyard. I mean, if they need me, I can go in there, but I don't necessarily have to be in there. I can be in here, either cleaning in here or just sitting in here and relaxing or doing whatever I need to do for myself. And so I have realized that these are the things that I need to do in order to do the best job for them. And I think it's just good for my mental health. I mean, it just is. And I think sometimes we as entrepreneurs or we as people, we are always the last ones to take care of what we need. And we're great at taking care of everybody else. But sometimes we forget that it's okay to take care of yourself first and to put yourself first. Yeah. And so I think that's just, if I have one message for people, the best way that I took care of my mental health is I put myself first before work, before anything. And I just said, I got to take care of me. And once I take care of me, then I can take care of everything else.
That brings up a really good point of, if you're not able to take care of yourself, there's no way you're going to be able to take care of somebody else. But also, I know that feeling very well. I'm very much a helper and I want to help everybody. And I have to take a step back, especially being in the mental health world on a daily basis of like, hey, am I mentally okay to go help somebody else? And that's really important. But then also I have a whole family here that's here every single day, and so when do I find the time to take care of myself versus having to take care of everybody else? And I think that's amazing that you've decided to have Sundays be your day, right? Like, set those boundaries. What are your boundaries? And as an entrepreneur, the reason you're an entrepreneur is so that you can make your own schedule, right? So, yes. And that's one thing that I learned working with a coach was set my days, right? So like Wednesday, I know my fiance has Wednesdays off. And so I am in my calendar taking Wednesdays off because I want that to be a part of ongoing. And that can be a flexible day for me if I need to be. But like Wednesdays and Sundays are the days that I'm taking off, right, from work. And so what are your boundaries? What's going to keep you sane and take care of yourself? And then like when you go into a group, so like say you are normally extroverted, but we still as extroverts need to have that introvertedness. And so like when I go into a group, like how do I reset after being part of that group? Like it could be both vice versa. So I love how you said, make sure that you schedule those days, have the boundaries.
Yep.
And that just brings up a great point around, even as an entrepreneur, as a human, as a person, we still need to have boundaries for ourselves.
I even put my workouts every day in my calendar, like Monday through Friday. I don't do it on the weekends because it's a little bit more flexible. So, either sometimes I'll go earlier on the weekends or, whatever. But Monday through Friday at 3:30, sometimes it's before, but it's in my calendar at 3:30 that I'm up from my desk and I am out doing my run or whatever I'm doing by 3:30, because now obviously it gets darker earlier. So I have to be done by, 5 o'clock so that I'm not running in the dark. And so, I just started doing that about 2 or 3 weeks ago in my count because I noticed that I wasn't getting it done. And I said, okay, this is not working for me. So I said, what is the time that I know that I can get out? So I blocked off time in my calendar. I don't schedule anything real close to it. I try, if somebody needs to meet with me, I try and do it at 1 o'clock. So by 2 o'clock, I'm done and I can make sure. So put things in your calendar if you can. I think it's extremely important. You're doing it to take a day off on Wednesday. You know, I know on Sundays, that's what I'm going to do. I probably should put it in my calendar that I'm off so I don't schedule anything on a Sunday. But yeah, it's crucial. I mean, and I haven't missed a day in 3 weeks now because it's in my calendar and I just go. And look, things come up, work comes up, got to get work done. You know, there were a couple days I didn't work out just before my girls came because I knew they were coming to town and I didn't want to work when they were here. So I didn't exercise, but I didn't work. I mean, I went from the time they got here the day before Thanksgiving, which was a Wednesday, till that Sunday when they left. I didn't work those 5 days. Nice. I can't tell you the last time I did that for 5 days and didn't work.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, if I can, yeah, just there's little things you can do to help yourself mentally. But I mean, if you're struggling, really struggling, my advice is reach out to you, reach out to BCC Evolution, reach out to yourself. You're a great resource to help other people. That's why BCC Evolution is here, is to be that resource. I mean, I'm honored to be the first one to come and talk in this forum. And I know you're going to bring amazing people, probably people that I know on, which would be great. But for people out there struggling with their mental health that are watching this, or they're just struggling in general, reach out to Kelli, reach out to BCC Evolution. They're a great resource to find help. If it's not for you, if it's someone you love or care about, whatever you need, reach out to BCC Evolution. That's why I'm involved with it. That's why I'm a warrior for mental health, and just reach out to Kelli and get the help that you need, and let's start having that conversation.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that plug. I appreciate it. No, I know. I mean, you have, when we first met to now, the change in you, how, I mean, you present yourself, how I see, like, not that just because you have a light right over your head, but you're more glowing, and I can tell that you like are feeling better about your situation, where you're at. I know that recently, obviously you were on the board, but had to step away. And which is another thing of, I mean, mental health is like, you have to be able to, like you said, take care of yourself first and know where your priorities are, which is, I think, absolutely important. So I wanted to have you on as one of my first guests. You were one of the very first Instagram lives I have ever done. So I know that you're a huge advocate for mental health. You continue to do your show all the time. You are also a great resource if anybody wants to follow Phillip and see what he's doing. How, if people do want to follow you, how do they find you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook. Either I have my personal page, I have my business page, which is By the Numbers, bookkeeping and accounting. I have a bookkeeping and accounting business. That's what I do. On Instagram, they can find me. I knew you were going to ask me this. On Instagram, they can find me, Phillip Aronoff, or they can find my business, which is it's By the Numbers, but instead of a B in the word numbers, it's a 6. So they can find me on Instagram. In fact, I'm on Instagram every day now, leading up to the 5K that I'm going to do on the 25th. So I come on Instagram after I go and do my run, kind of counting down the days till I get up and I go run that 5K on December 25th. It's actually Christmas Day morning.
Wow.
So I will be on Instagram every day after I go out and run, talking about my run, just talking about things in general. So they can find me there. They can find me on LinkedIn. Where else can they find me? I don't do much on Twitter, but mostly Instagram, Facebook, and things like that. And the show that you're talking about on Instagram, it's called Making an Impact. I'm actually going to be going back and doing some live Friday shows here before the end of the year. I'm trying to get some people scheduled so I can do that. So look for that. It'll be sometime Friday in the afternoon before I have to go run, obviously. But yeah, look for those things. That's how people can find me. You can also find me on my website, bythenumbersbanda.com. That's where my website is. So I'm all over the place. And if you want to meet in person, I live in Southern California. If you're watching in Southern California, but I will be back in Colorado the second week of February to visit my kids for their birthdays. So
awesome. Well, I appreciate you, and definitely go check out Phillip, follow him on his journey. I know I've been following him for a while, and it's just amazing to see your transformation and all the things that you've accomplished. And I wholeheartedly appreciate all the things that you have done for me, the board, and BCC Evolution in the past. And we will continue to collaborate in the future. And I just appreciate you being here on my first episode today for Mental Health Mondays.
Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I will chat with you soon, Phillip. And if any of this was useful for anybody today, we are doing Mental Health Mondays every single Monday. So come join, and we'll have great conversations with probably a lot of people that Phillip knows, probably a lot of people that he doesn't know. But again, it's going to be mental health professionals, anyone that's experiencing or has lived with a mental health challenge, just telling you their story, what's helped them or not helped them, or any mental health advocates. And so join us on Monday, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and follow along on the journey. I appreciate you all watching. Thanks so much, and have a great Monday.